everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, or welcome back. If this is your 10th Matlock episode review, hope you're doing well. Hope you're staying safe out there in the big old world. This thing is bothering me. I apologize. I got a popcorn box right next to me. Before I say anything, I'm happy pre-Valentine's Day for everyone. You know, whether you are married or with someone special, or even, it's a day of love. So, like, you don't necessarily have to be in a couple to be able to enjoy it properly, So this will be my second one I ever celebrated properly. So I'm very excited, very excited. And this episode of Madlock was nothing to do with Valentine's Day, nothing at all. We just did a rookie Valentine's Day episode earlier this week, so I had a feeling we were not going to be able to double dip this week, but just because of timeline stuff and focusing again on the story. Usually, from what I can tell, they probably don't let the holidays like spew into like the actual content of the story to allow to breathe and such, which I very much prefer that fashion, because this week's episode of Matlock was really, really good. I feel like it's coming to the point where, like, things are gonna it's gonna be a really, they're setting up the dominoes. They really are. Like right now, like, again, it's similar to what I said last week. Maddie is in a very, very, very tight spot right now when it comes to just everything going on. Again, like I said last week, is that as she goes deeper into this, the more she knows, the more she kind of puts herself out there that potentially could lead to things occurring that she cannot control. This episode being a perfect example where, like, it kind of felt like a seed of what's to come down the road. Obviously, we're now officially beginning the second half of the season, and even though we're not quite close to anywhere leading into where we need to go in terms of, like, anyone discovering Maddie's truth, it just, again, like, this episode, like, it made me feel confident and safe that everything is going to be fine for the moment, but eventually, something's going to give. It's going to be something problematic, and it's going to be very hurtful to see, and I can't wait to see it. But until then, this episode just felt like, it felt like a nice boiling point episode. It didn't really feel like we were getting to, like, the rising climax yet. It just mainly felt like, what could people be doing that will push them into the wrong direction, where I feel like this was, like, I think the first major battle in Maddie's quest to figure out who handled these the Will Braxton case. This to keep her place within the firm so that she can keep going and to be able to keep her investigation going a little longer, but at the same time, again, really putting herself more at risk. Because, again, like, the more she comes up with this lie, the more she comes up with this, the fabrication, it gets very tricky to do so. And even though she's been lucky so far, I feel like this episode was a very close call for her. And that will kind of, see how the rest of the next 8 episodes kind of have to tell in terms of, how does she continue to get closer to the truth. As well as, giving a little bit more perspective, let's just say that much, with a lot of the characters, kind of, changing the story up a little bit, kind of like, keeping things, on our toes a little bit. I'm trying not to burn myself. I'm holding a tea kettle in my hand. I burned my eyelash. Thank God. Lord damn. But with all that being said, I almost spilled the tea on myself. Not like that. Let's go through the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Matlock. So we begin with Maddie in a lie detector chair. Thankfully, it's in the comforts of her own home. There is a probability she'll be working with, damn, I forgot her name again. The human lie detector for the firm. Not Petra. They said her name a lot this episode. I could not remember it. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. It just did not register in my brain this week. So the possibility of them running into her again is very high, especially with the last episode they were together with. Maddie kind of, like, put her on a little bit of a warpath to make sure that her affair with Julian stays, like, very close under knits. And, so, to prepare Maddie, again, for another battle with her, that this would be proper training. Apparently, also, Maddie's husband has a little wandering eye for her, which I'm like, at least he's honest about it. Honesty is the best policy. But, also, I'm babbling my words today, but she does do very well in the lie detector. She did a lot of training, a lot of, controlling her heart rate, controlling her sweat, her eye movements, because, again, she, not Pedro, has been trained to be able to catch on a lot of bullshit. So Maddie being trained here is very much key to them staying one step ahead from her, which is basically, I think, the only big thorn they have right now in their investigation. Her husband also uses this opportunity to kind of, make a little sly comment about the possibility that Maddie might be reaching out to their grandson's true father. Their daughter's, I guess, baby daddy. It didn't really seem like they were married. It just like happenstance, sort of. And Maddie does manage to stay calm and say that she didn't reach out to him, but that it wouldn't really be over the shoulder for her to go eventually find him. It's not out of the question yet, just not something they're focusing on at the moment. And he also asks, are you mad at me for asking you these questions? She says no, but then the machine says, nope, you're a liar, which I'm like, I should really try a lie detector machine someday. I should really. That sounds like a fun game. I want to say we cut to the next day at the firm. I'm a little lost here with the order, to be honest with you. I know, just for context reasons, Sarah's still pissed at Maddie for the whole case situation. And, Billy now having an opportunity to, kind of settle in a little bit, kind of, really hear what Sarah's going to say. He's not taking it more like she's mad at Maddie, but, just Sarah's comments about, that this was her case and that she was guaranteed this victory. And Billy's just like, well, I still won the case. Can we get some credibility points for that? That, I managed to win this whole case, by myself in court. This was still a big victory for me, but she doesn't really address that. We'll come back to that play here. I know there's a scene between Olympia and Elijah. I want to say the senior partner she was kind of flirting with, now no longer flirting with, but now kind of trying to reestablish a friendship with him. But it kind of seems like they're kind of going to go back to their flirty ways a little bit. And it turns out Olympia is being summoned by Senior, which I'm like, I literally said that in the last episode, we have not seen Senior in a few episodes. And I'm like, we're overdue for Senior. And now he's here. He's back from his little vacation cross country. So she's got a meeting with him. She believes it's probably the follow-up to her outburst to him at the Christmas party. Elijah just wishes her good luck. Just nothing much more they could do right there. Just hope to God Olympia still has her job by the end of it. And thankfully that's not even touched upon. Apparently, Senior has an old colleague, an old client of his that is reaching back out. He was a big business shark, but then he transitioned to more environmental friendly aspects of the world, and that kind of creates its own blanket of issues. And he's now involved in this legal patent copyright issue that requires their own shark to handle, which is why he's pairing Olympia on the case to go assist him on the matter. But of course, obviously, Olympia being the person she is, she does address the whole Christmas debacle. And Senior's like, they didn't even care about that. Wasn't even close to my mind. It is what it is. But you know what? Just focus on this, and then we'll talk about other things later. Let's just leave it at that. I know Maddie and Olympia do have a scene. Oh yeah, no, I forgot one more thing that the real crutch to, I guess, why Senior wants to get a little bit of an edge. He does bring back up now Petra on the case, and then have to work specifically together just in case. And for Olympia, it's like, this is great. And then as soon as she meets Maddie, she's like, you got to find someone else. You got to find anyone else in the tri-state area to replace now Petra, because this is exactly the type of person she doesn't want to deal with right now. But Maddie, in both the honest directive she is, as well as trying to be a little mischievous, does tell her, well, I understand your point, to avoid the woman that slept with your husband, but since everyone kind of knew of your last debacle in the office, and it kind of relates to her, maybe this would be a sign of strong faith, that if you just put on your strong two shoes and accept working with her for this case, just showcase that you are the better person here. And Olivia's like, I don't want to be the better person here. I just want to work with a woman. I want to say something, but this is a TV-14 show, so I'll save my comment for another time. But, so from there, so they decide, okay, fine, she's going to be paired up on the case, and, go from there. And then, so all of them meet up in the conference room where they meet their clients who do not wear shoes. Not even socks. I'm just like, okay. There is a study that says that apparently walking on barefoot is actually a much more healthier, natural, organic way for your feet to stretch, because the confines of modern day shoes have kind of actually this is like the perfect opportunity for me to do a little tangent here. I apologize for you guys. We'll get back to the episode in just a moment, but I always wondered because there was those photos that I think I saw maybe 5-7 years ago, where there is apparently there's a culture in, I believe, in Asia where women have to wear these very tiny shoes when they're young that's super tight. Like, they know it's super tight, but apparently it was a class, level of like honor of like having tiny feet apparently was a sign of royalty, and that you're full of great honor to have this sacrifice. I really don't know, because like the way it's like, it's indented, it's just not natural. And then someone pointed out, I was like, okay, so technically when you're born, your toes are like outwards, like you could do here with your fingers. But then as you wear modern day shoes, where like it's kind of like at an angle, your toes actually corset to that. So if you really look at your feet, and I'm sorry for this is not the way the conversation for this episode you're supposed to go, but like if you really look at like your pinky toe and your big toe are fine, it's just your middle three toe that's just so condensed in there, because technically they're supposed to stretch out. And I am actually toying with the idea of getting gel toe spacers to get the natural feel again, especially as I don't know, like it just feels natural, because like when I stretch them out, like the toes naturally, it just like it feels right. It feels right. I don't know. Okay, end of the tangent here. So yeah, so they're not hippies, but they're very much environmental friendly now, and they. Even though they're kind of, a little bit of a peacekeeping, their whole directive, their whole company is based on trying to bioengineer a way to like cause more rain to happen, which will create more water supply for certain regions of the world. That's the whole spiel of it, to like promote like global, I guess, global climate positivity. I really don't know anymore. I kind of lost my point of there. But the whole reason for their case is that they have a competitor, their only real competitor in this market, that has rumoredly had been able to replicate their same success margin, because apparently exposing chemicals to cause rain has always existed, but the chemicals themselves can create an inverse reaction that is, will actually cause more harm than good. So what this company has done is they managed to create a chemical solution that would allow the clouds and rain to fall at a much more safer level that is like almost natural, which is a little bit scary considering the fact that years ago, someone I used to know told me like technically that the governments already have a way to like produce these natural natural store. I'm already losing the tangent here. Back to the story, but yeah. So, but it's coincidental that as soon as they discovered it, not too long after their competitor found out about it. So it was kind of like a little bit too suspicious, and they just want to kind of put a nip in the bud by forming a lawsuit against them in order to be able to kind of settle this out of court. And that's what we're here today. The guy's here, his mentoree is here, basically the successor to his company should he ever go away. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you wear socks. Because as the cut and the editing happen, I have dropped my hot kettle of tea on my foot. I should be fine. It should be fine. My feet have survived worse. So let's end the feet conversation. Let's go back to the episode properly. So they discussed it, and they're just like, okay, their next step of order is like, okay, we need to get access to their documents without having a breach of confidentiality, basically speaking. So the formation plan is like, okay, let's get them to subvertly release their data, willingly, by forming a countersuit at another company that forces the primary company they're focusing on to release their data to kind of oversee the whole initiative, which somehow it actually works. Like, whether or not the judge had an in for Olympia who really knows. It kind of seems like the way he said, like, he looked at the person Olympia was fighting against in court, and he's like, you lose, release the documents. And I'm just like, damn, I like this judge. I really, really do. Maybe, hopefully we get to see more of him down the road. Where do we go from here? So from there, so the data's released, and sadly, the only piece of information we can discern from this is that actually the score is actually much lower, which means technically they improved on the recipe, or they improved on the chemical conditions to cause the reaction. However, when the two kind of like look into they kind of like return back to each other, and then they realize, okay, wait, so somebody forgot to tell you, we actually found an even better way to get the levels down. And it is an exact match to these guys. So actually, this is not actually part of the plan, actually. So like that means like the people, because there was a former coworker that they were looking at that probably was the mole in all this, but he only had the data for a few months ago, and this was just a recent discovery of theirs, just before they filed this lawsuit. So Now with that being in motion, now they realize, okay, whoever is doing this is actually inside of the company still. So they focus their attention there. There's a moment where I believe, well, actually, no, not that moment yet. Where like Sarah's is giving a lot of like I hate you vibes to Maddie, which I'm like, Sarah, you're at work. Olympia doesn't really consider you too highly, to be honest with you already. You having a petty grudge against Maddie is not really going to do you much good, to be honest with you. So I think maybe it would be better if you kind of drop this, but this is her we're talking about. She's not going to drop it. And even if she continues to talk smack to Billy about the whole, like, like, this should have been my case. I should have won this case, and never really giving Billy the proper respect that he does deserve. So eventually, Maddie and Pedra are tasked to team up to interview some of the people on the team directly to see if any one of them is the mole. And also, this is a good opportunity for Maddie to also spend more time with Not Pedra, as well as time kind of like, to get a little bit more of an insight on her. So kind of like a win-win, like a very weird stand-up, to be honest with you about that. I'm trying to remember if there's any other scene. I might as well mention the scene now. So we get a meeting of a divorce, the divorce meeting between Julian and Olympia, where they're going over the deal and everything, and Olympia again, like she said in the last episode, she really wants to get a deep dive financial analysis on Julian's personal finances, just in case there was anything out of the ordinary from him. However, when the request was made to look into the family trust of Julian, the lawyer declined the offer, and Julian's like, you know what? Let's end this right now. I'll give Olympia everything she wants, but she cannot touch the financial trust, which is, again, even if, like, we're not 100% figuring out what the heck's going on here, this is still something that's like, okay, well, if you're still hiding something, then, this is not really a good look for you, Julian. I'm not going to lie to you about that. This does not seem like a good look for you. So from there, yeah, so then Olympia does go back to Maddie quickly before she goes into her deep dive with Not Pedra about it. And, like, Maddie's like, oh, yeah, no, there's got to be something shady going on over there. I mean, it's up to you now. You could either take the money, get divorced, and be done with it, or you could, keep pushing the bear, see what else you can probably dig up from it. So that's Maddie's recommendation for her. Obviously, to, like, keep getting insight on the whole situation. Maybe she can find an easier way to get to Julian without doing any espionage type thing right now at the moment. So that's a good possibility for them to explore. So we get to all the interrogation scenes, and there is nothing. They reviewed all four of them. There even is some minor tension between Not Pedra and Maddie, but at the end of it all, nothing comes from it. Nothing at all. They get no sort of data from it. So when they meet back up with their client again, they just tell them the news, like, yeah, none of them are ringing up on the Not Pedra lie meter. None of them are ringing it up. So that must mean that technically, at least from the core team, they're not involved in this. They're not leaking any data to your competitor. But then he's trying to realize, well, who could it be? And then he takes a moment to realize, oh wait, and it's like, you know what, never mind. Let me just go for a walk and let me process the whole day so far. And then they realize, okay, the only other person that would be close enough to get access to all the data that's been leaked is his mentoree. And they're like, okay, maybe that's why he feels such a big betrayal from him. Like, it's his closest confidence in this company, and he could be possibly involved in, like, the exposure of it. And again, Sarah, being a little bit unprofessional about it, does mention the fact, like, oh wow, it's it really hurts when someone you thought you could trust betrays you like that. And Not Pedra picks up on the whole vibe. She's like, okay, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. So once that kind of dissipates, they kind of are trying to formulate, okay, how do we pin this on the mentoree? How do we get this get this figured out? And I believe they figured apparently, so the company, for some reason, has this weird tracking bracelet that kind of, I don't know what it was for. I guess it was just for confidentiality reasoning, that it was useful basically, that if they could get access to this, they could like really figure out what he's been doing after hours. So maybe hopefully get that, but that's gonna be another trial and error for them to figure out. So we kind of cross paths a little bit here. Sarah and Pedra meet up afterwards, where Pedra asks her, "Okay, what's going on between you and Maddie? It seems like you two were good confidants not too long ago. Now you're basically like enemies. What's going on? What's the snitch there?" And yeah, Sarah kind of unloads a little bit on her, and he's like, "Really? Well, I've always had suspicions on Matlock. Why don't we team up and figure out what we can find against her? And maybe we could expose her. Maybe she's a lying, sack of crap." And so Sarah, again, in her fit of rage, agrees to it. She agrees to, side with her, figure out what the heck's going on. I know Olympia's kind of pushed up against the wall, considering the fact her own client could be, she's trying to figure out, how do I ascertain this information without crossing even more legal boundaries? So she has a jam session with Elijah, playing some Connect 4, which is actually pretty fun to say the least. So they kind of start forming this like counter strategy, like how they could like get the information they need from the tracking without really letting anyone catch guard that they're kind of tracking them right now. So Olympia manages to put together a proxy vote with the people inside the company, claiming this is for the betterment of the case. And it took a little bit of convincing, but they actually managed to get the data swiftly. So all four of them are now able to review the data, figure out where the hell he's going. I know to see where Pedra and Sarah are looking at like a document, a newspaper article about Maddie. They're just trying to figure it out, decipher. Like this is all too a little bit coincidental. Like she's been in the news so often, so now they're trying to really dig in there a little bit. And I'm like, these two are horrible hiders, considering the fact that Sarah noticed Matlock coming. They kept the laptop out with her article on it, and I'm just like, y'all are like literally, this is like the most obvious, like you want her to know, like, hey, we're on to you type of thing. Like the whole thing about this is like supposed to be a secret, it's supposed to be like like a way to like, okay, well we know that Maddie's lying, but like at least in the generalness of like, yeah, like this is like a top secret investigation, like a secret case, and like y'all blew in the first 5 minutes. It's like damn, y'all work in a law firm, you can't keep anything for under wraps, nothing at all. So once they get the data from the wristbands, they cross-reference it, and they found out that the guy actually visited a bunch of bars within the past week, which is kind of weird because she literally said alcohol was poison. So why would he be going to a bar if he said he doesn't like to drink? So it's kind of like, a little bit sus about. So they need to get in there and figure out who he's meeting, because there has to be a legitimate reason to why, he's going to the specific bar a few times per week. So definitely there has to be something going on over here. Then as we convene for the day, Maddie goes back home in her usual bus, and then she spots Sarah kind of watching her from a distance, as well as a couple of mysterious people kind of enter the bus. So she gets paranoid, thinking that Sarah might be onto her. So as well as Pedra kind of already being the way she is, now that she's thinking these two are in cahoots and trying to figure out what the heck's up with Maddie, which of course we know something's up with Maddie, but the whole point of this entire thing is for her not to get caught right now. So she returns back to the temporary apartment we saw many episodes ago. She hides out there, trying to keep up her alibi for a while, and she calls her husband up, letting her know about her suspicions. He tries to say there ain't no way they're catching on right now. There's no way. And obviously Maddie, already having to deal with anxiety not too long ago, is beginning to have that in another episode, but thankfully her husband manages to kind of calm her down, kind of like keep her back under control over here. And, they're able to reassess, like, they got to find a way to get them both off their back right now, because they're nowhere near close to figure out what the heck's really going on here. So they cannot be caught right now. So they definitely need to buckle down and figure out a way to get Pedra and Sarah off their backs. Which begins with the next day, where Maddie goes to the place that is very wonderful for most companies, but at the same time, it's also like... yeah, it's kind of like, kind of like a little bit of like a, like a cheat a little bit, where like she goes to HR, which she basically explains like, yeah, she feels threatened by Pedra. She's afraid that Pedra might be doing something, illicit. She's gotten a lot of, suspicious moments with her, and it's been like, it's been too much, obviously not really telling the full truth, but at the same time, it's like not exactly far away from the truth. So yeah, eventually that reaches back to Pedra. Not Pedra. I keep forgetting that. I apologize. And she tells Sarah about it, like, this is obviously, an act of war, to Sarah's words, and that, she's scared that we're on to her right now, and that we should actually push deeper into this. And that Pedra's like, well, you're not wrong. And at the same time, they also get a lead. Apparently, there's been an old contact of Maddie's, which I'm pretty sure she wrote about, which she was like coming up with her alibi to even get to this firm. That's in Georgia that, just popped up. So she said, okay, I'm guessing going to Georgia to get a little more information about her while, she's kind of, dealing with this HR matter right now. Maddie goes back to her office trying to pretend everything's normal. Billy is, trying to meet up, waiting for Sarah to come with him so they can go to the bar together. So eventually he gives up, and then he goes forward to the bar, and then we cut back later where he returns from the bar with something in hand, and then Sarah catches up to him, and then she asks him, why'd you go to the bar without me? I thought we were working this together. And this is when Billy kind of, snaps at her a little bit. It's like, okay, first of all, you haven't really treated me like a common human being in forever. The last set of days you've been doing nothing but commenting the fact that this case should have been yours and that my victory didn't really matter because this should have been your victory. This should have been your first nod. But at the end of the day, maybe it's just a part of you that is not accepting the fact that maybe Maddie knows that I'm a better lawyer than you right now. And the way Sarah says, because I know you cannot be a better lawyer than me. And that's kind of was the pushy point. And Billy's like, you know what? We're done. I'm done. I'm done trying to be friends with you. I'm done trying to see you as a fellow peer. It just seems like you don't treat me as such. So I think, going forward, we should all kind of, think about our own development separately. And he walks away from it. Obviously, Sarah realizing what she has done. And I'm like, Sarah, like I said, even though technically she has some cause to her claims, you definitely don't want to ruin a friendship just because of that, especially, when it is kind of, a little bit uncalled for. So Billy shows the photo to Olympia. It turns out to be the original ex-employee that was the original suspect for this entire mole leaking. And that's when kind of okay, so technically the client was right, but also at the same time he was wrong, considering the fact he had no idea where the true source was coming from. So now they're kind of in a pickle right now on what they could do next with their next move. And then Olympia said, well, we can easily finish this tomorrow in court. We'll expose him, and then that's done. The case is over. But he's not quite, fully satisfied with it. He really isn't. And then once he leaves the room and Maddie takes a moment, yeah, he's lying. I spent enough time with not Pedra to not know when someone's lying. He is definitely lying. He has to be in cahoots on this as well. So then they start kind of thinking more deeply about this while not Pedra is all the way out in Georgia to meet up with a mysterious man that happens to be a connection to Matlock. We'll get back to that later. So we cut back over, and I believe I don't quite remember how this exactly went. I'm going to be honest with you. I think we just immediately skip ahead to Olympia in court. She's destroying her client, who is now a witness to this entire thing, to testify. And she immediately destroys him. He destroys his alibi. He destroys, the fact that there's so many connections. There's so many, there's too much data to prove that he is in cahoots with his own trustee to basically commit company malpractice by leaking their own information so that they can do a countersuit, and then they can get the money from the other company and then destroy the company's reputation with actual data because it's coming from them themselves. And then the guy is about to explode. However, it turns out the fact this is all a simulation. Not like that, not like the Matrix, but Olympia just basically tells him this is what's going to happen in court if you do not accept what you just did. That you weren't trying to trick us into defending you into a malicious lawsuit that had no real merit. You were just basically orchestrating the whole thing so that you can get this other company out of business. He admits, yeah, I was just hoping that you guys would kind of, find another poacher and just, kind of put the blame on them while we go away scot-free with this whole thing. But he says, you know what, okay, fine, you're right. I'll drop the suit. I won't do it again. I'll focus back on what I got to do. And you'll never hear from me again about this. But I'll have another lawsuit eventually. So definitely you'll be my first call on that front. And he leaves. And that was a very weird ending to this case. It was a very weird ending. Libby's about to leave. She just says that, yeah, like, you know what, I'm kind of done with people that lie to me. I'm just going to focus back on the cases with clients I can trust, as well as she also looks at Seniors like, after this, I better be getting your vote. And Seniors is like, really? You think I'm going to vote for you over my own son? And she's like, basically, yeah. And he's like, he doesn't say yes, but he's like no, which I'm like, damn, Senior, you are father/father-in-law in the year over here. That's what you are. So I want to say, where do we go from here? I do know there's a scene between Olympia and Julian where Olympia does say to her, like, yeah, you know, she made a lot of sacrifices for him during their marriage, you know, allowing him to take over the family finances, allowing him to do a lot of things so that she doesn't seem like she's a gold digger, which I'm like, now we really need a backstory on how these two met. But at least in the moment, she does say, okay, well, you know what? I will go to war with you because I really need to know what are you hiding in your finances. Like, that has to be uncovered for me to for you to get my signature to finalize this divorce. So if we have to go to court, we will go to court. And Julian does not say anything really much. All that he knows is that, yeah, this divorce is going to court. So yeah, so I, you know, so from next point onwards, I remembered that yeah, Olympia and Maddie meet up again about the whole, just kind of catching back in on the case and everything, just kind of, you know, talking the usual already, and then during their conversation, Maddie kind of just, you know, has a flash sideways to when she was talking to her husband about finding a way to get not Pandora off their backs, and she said, like, well, why don't we form a new lead to get them off this trail? So apparently they falsified a whole document so that Pandora would have to go to Georgia and meet this mysterious, you know, former associate of Matlock, which turns out to be her own husband in disguise. Which I'm like, how much money do y'all have? Like, you have to buy a fake apartment. You bought a last minute flight on this and basically found a way to usurp like the human lie detector. Like, this is just, y'all living by the edge here, but it just works out so damn well. It really, really does. And at the same time, it kind of coincides with not paid that are returning back to the firm, returning back to the office, and you know, Maddie getting a word in edgewise, and her obviously, you know, kind of turning the conversation to like, so I found out that you went all the way to another state just to try and get dirt on me from a former associate of mine. Like, what are you doing? Like, you know, are you that determined to like try to figure out what's up? I mean, obviously, you know, again, the whole ruse worked out, and like now Maddie's no longer a suspect to Pedro, at least at the current moment. But it very much is like, you know, Maddie's like, okay, well now, because what you did, I'm gonna file a new complaint against you, and that's gonna launch an official investigation into you. And obviously, Ned Pedro's like trying to beg her, like, don't do that, please, not right now. And she's like, you should have fought differently. And I'm like, atta girl, Maddie, atta girl. At the same time, now Pedro texts Sarah, the case is off. They can't do anything right now. They're basically at a standstill. They just freeze off. And then once Sarah gets a text from it, it's like, so all that suspicious that she had that's totally true. That is totally validated is basically for naught right now. And she kind of uses this moment to like give Billy back his cologne, which apparently she stole from him because he kind of stinked up the place, everything, and trying to make amends. She just says, yeah, I apologize. I let my hatred for Maddie, you know, be kind of like a scapegoat for my real feelings, which is like, yeah, no, I don't feel like I'm as great of a lawyer as I thought I was. You know, I use my feelings of doubt to kind of twist it into anger towards Maddie and to kind of take it out on you as well indirectly, that you are a better lawyer than me, and I'm sorry. But Billy's like, what you said was too late. It's done. You already said what you had to say. It's over. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know why I'm saying like a gangster, but Billy's done. Billy's officially done with Sarah, and that, you know, her recent words have kind of really made a dent on him, and now he's gonna move forward and be the best lawyer he can be without her. And Sarah has no choice but to go to Olympia. She cries to her, and I'm like, Sarah. We all have our weak moments, don't get me wrong. Even I do as well. But I'm just like, you cry to your own boss. Like, I don't think, like, I'm trying to think to myself, have I ever cried to any of my bosses? I don't think so. I've had many bosses already. I think I've only had 6 bosses in my lifetime. And I'm like, I can't really think of a point where we had that issue, but yeah, but either way, yeah. So Yeah, so Sarah just is breaking down over the fact that she blamed Maddie, she kind of ruined that connection, and then she also pushed away Billy, her own friend, away. So she kind of feels alone right now. She kind of really feel like no one's on her side right now. Which obviously, again, like even though, like I said, Maddie is technically in the wrong as well, Sarah kind of pushed it way too far with this incident. And Olympia just, try to calm her down, saying, like, we all make mistakes. We all have these moments of weaknesses. But, I know you're a good lawyer. I know you're going to do well. And this is just a minor emotional setback. And for some reason, Sarah found it keen to, like, there is a way we can, like, take advantage of this. Like, I respect you so much. And maybe, if you're giving me more advice like this, like, maybe we can form an official mentor-mentee relationship. And Olympia's like, okay, you know what, fine, we could do that. I mean, they kind of came up to that point where, like, yeah, no, I think maybe it's time for them to take it to the next stage of their relationship. So yeah, she signs off on it. Immediately, Sarah's just like went from like super sad and depressed to like all of a sudden energetic, like ready to go. Like, oh, we can start today. I can go with you wherever you want. You can teach me more things. We can have our own bonding time. And Olivia's like, okay, I made a mistake here, but I'm gonna keep my promise. But we're not doing it tonight. I'm gonna go do something else. She heads over to Elijah's office, hoping to still get some more, quality time with him, more of another game of Connect Four. However, Elijah has other plans. He has a new girl. He has a new girlfriend. It's not. Yeah, which I'm like, this is also not Olympia's day. She's gonna get a divorce, and the man she thought she could probably, be her next partner is already kind of off the market. So yeah, so it's not looking well for Olympia as well. It's not looking well for Olympia as well. We cut back to the house. Maddie's able to finally return home. Thankfully the whole ruse worked out, and now they can, easily continue. And there was also, I forgot one more scene before Maddie head back home where Senior, checks in on her, just says, yeah, I heard you put on a couple of HR requests to not Pedra, and I'm like, yeah, I totally understand. She's very much something else, and like, I'm not really surprised you eventually put one in for her. Trust me, I'm not surprised. And Maddie kind of like, says something to the effect of like, Jesus, like, but just if she's having this effect on a lot of people, I wonder what kind of dirt she has on you to still be on your payroll, technically speaking, to still be on like your hiring radar. And the way he said it was like not entirely fully content. So he is hiding something. That not Pedra does have something on her, but we don't know that information just yet. So now they're just trying to figure out, okay, maybe there's something else. Maybe not Pedra was involved in the whole Braxa matter, just in another capacity. Maybe she's also the one who's responsible for it. And thankfully for her husband, sleuthing work in Georgia, he manages to get a new piece of information about her that before she became a legal counsel, she actually was in marketing. So it could be possible she was like, involved in that on the Brexit factor too. So she could be hiding documents that could have pertained to that. Maybe like promotions that would have basically tanked it, but they cut it. Who really knows? Who really knows? But definitely there's a whole new spin here that definitely kind of reinvigorates the case a little bit forward. And he also does take the opportunity to say that, yeah, I looked into the email matter. I couldn't find it. The university cleaned up my credentials. So that email, it's gone. It's gone. We're not going to be able to kind of post that line anymore. However, sadly, he is turning out to lie because he pulled out his phone and the email is there. So yes, there is still a way he can still contact Alfie's real father. But will he actually do it? Will he tell Maddie the truth? Who really knows? Because that was it for this week's episode of Matlock. I really enjoyed it. I really liked the fact Maddie really was like kind of pushed to a corner here. We got those moments of weaknesses where like it kind of seemed like things were crumbling apart, and I was just like so early. I'm like, yeah, I knew that wasn't gonna happen because like again, it's way too early for this revelation to happen right now. So definitely, I kind of knew like there was gonna be a way that Maddie was gonna get out of it somehow. It's just like the penalties of her actions caused Sarah to like kind of be pushed into a corner. Like I'm pretty sure by next week her and Maddie will square things out, but between her and Billy is going to be a longer road, considering the fact that she knows what she did with Maddie is wrong to a certain extent, but for Billy she's like, yeah, she really kind of went too far with this one. So yeah, so definitely that's going to cause them a real rift in their partnership, at least for the next few for the next set of weeks to come, basically speaking. I'm starting to really feel for Olympia. You know, definitely the divorce is now kind of, you know, starting to weigh in on her a little bit. The fact that she actually needs to go to court to figure out the truth about her husband or her soon to be ex husband. And then the person she thought that she could possibly see as a potential follow up is now no longer on the market. So, in a way, she kind of feels alone from that certain perspective a little bit. She does. And, again, just the scenes between Maddie and now Pedro were so great. It was so nice to see, you know, again, Maddie have her first real confrontation to fight and protect her identity so she could be able to continue the case. It was very nice to see how you know I can't pronounce the word of how intelligent she is to be able to like kind of stay one step ahead of them, even still when she's kind of like slowly being backed into a corner here. But you know, it is a tease to come. I do imagine that eventually, you know, more people will start to kind of catch on a little bit, and it'll be a little bit more problematic for her to like, you know, stay out of it 100% speaking. So I can't wait to see how that's all gonna, you know, line up to speed once we kind of get more a little bit more deeper into the episodes coming up. But at least for now, I'm gonna give this episode 2 thumbs up. I loved it a lot. Let me know down below what did you think of this week's episode of Matlock. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. As always, I would love to have a conversation with you about it. But I believe it's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX reviewing every episode in the first season of Matlock. If you want to know what we're doing during What's the Two besides our Matlock episode reviews. We do the rookie episode reviews each and every Tuesday nights after brand new episodes on ABC. Next week we are back to the Reacher world with season 3. So that will technically be premiering on Thursday, but I am giving first right away to Matlock, being it's more of a time sensitive matter. Plus, I don't want to pay for Paramount Plus again. So Matlock will go first, and then followed by Reacher. So we will kickstart our Reacher reviews hopefully next week Friday. So stay tuned for that. And then the following Sunday after that, we're back to the TV landscape that is Stephen Amell's world with Suits LA. So stay tuned. We're gonna have a lot of coverage to do, as well as we have upcoming episodes after the theater coming up. So we have a lot of content coming up for you all. So get ready. But if you don't care about Matlock, you're in luck. We will be back next week with another brand new episode review for you to enjoy. So stay tuned until then. But again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet. Like, favorite, share if you want to. Ring that bell and follow us on social media. But until we see each other again, thank you so much for watching. Please stay safe out there. Be good to each other. And as always, peace out.